Hello and welcome to my podcast. My name is Martha and I am a certified death doula. I help people transition in their dying process to the other side, and I provide counseling and services that help people understand the process of dying. I have studied a lot of theology. I've studied a lot of philosophy and just the study of theology of death and dying and what it both means from a spiritual perspective, studied through many different religious and metaphysical perspectives, as well as studying from a more tangible process with different hospice services and palliative care services and chaplains on what you need to know about the actual physical dying process. So with that in mind, today I'm going to talk about my journey with plant medicines. So as I was studying and getting certified as a death doula and studying different religious perspectives, whether that be through the Tibetan Book of the Dead or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, studying the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads and the Vedas from the Hindu perspective, and studying from a Christian perspective on what Jesus has told us about death and dying. With that, I really was very interested in doing plant medicine to kind of take that journey and understand, just as the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna speaks with Krishna and speaks with death about what is it? What does life teach us about death? And what does, more importantly, death teach us about having a better life while we are here on this planet? So I was online and just searching through my social media and came across very providential occurrence. Came across somebody who was hosting an ayahuasca journey, and I trusted these people. The shaman hosting the ceremony was from Peru. The medicine woman was from the Bahamas. And I had a lot of experiences holding the space in an Aya journey. So I felt very safe and comforted to know I had never done any kind of hallucinogenic drugs before. And I was a little nervous about doing an ayahuasca ceremony. And didn't know exactly what was going to happen and didn't know what to expect. So what I'm going to tell you today is what happened. I'm going to give you the story, the play-by-play of what happened in my Aya journey. And maybe this might help others kind of understand the real true metaphysical nature of getting in touch with your soul and basically speaking to God through these plant medicines that can help us kind of expand our mind and open to different dimensions. So when we got to the ceremony took place outside on a patio situated outside in the middle of nowhere, basically out in nature. We were sitting outside on a patio. The shaman and medicine woman had set up all of their tools and implements with their crystals and the rattles and fans and all of their headdresses from the Peruvian Aya ceremonies that they wear. And they had all of these implements set out. They had a beautiful ceremonial flower set up with the skulls and jaguar statuesque kind of things and lots of flowers, and it was just beautiful, beautiful space. And then we all made a little pallet. So we laid our pallets around in a circle, surrounding where the shaman and medicine woman were kind of at the interior head of the circle, and we all circled around outside, facing out towards the back patio, facing out into nature. And I chose a little space in the corner of the patio, and I wanted to see the stars at night, and so I chose a space that I could look and see the stars out. So I was on the corner of the patio. Before the ceremony, the shaman kind of gave us a little talk, kind of explaining what to expect a little bit, and that if something was frightening to us, or maybe something scary was happening, to remember that everything was God, and that everything is God, is an expression of God, and to ask the scary things that we might encounter what the lesson was. Why are you here? What is the lesson that you're here to teach me? Because everything is of God and is from God and is there to teach you a lesson. So that was a good perspective to have going into my journey. The shaman gave us the mantra to relax, release, receive. And that if anything scary or beautiful or holy or just kind of overwhelming happened, just remember that mantra: relax, release, receive. And to not tense up and go into the fear, but to just remember to flow and remember that everything that was happening was from God, messages to us to understand more about life and death in my instance. So they started the ceremony with our intentions, and we all went around and had a talking stick, and we went out the whole circle, and everybody told what their intention was for doing this journey. And my intention was to listen and learn and understand the lessons that death can teach us about life. And as I mentioned, this was my very first kind of experience doing any kind of psychedelics, and I didn't really know what to expect. I was very excited and a little nervous. The medicine woman went around the circle and they offered a rapé. A rapé is a drug that you snort through your nose, and somebody comes up with a little tiny reed to blow it into your nose. They blow and you sniff the rapé into your nose. And the rapé is there it's a very calming, it's a psychedelic drug, but it kind of calms a little bit. So taking a little bit of fear out of the experience, it's a little bit of a calming, a booster, I guess you would call it. After we did the rapé, it was, I got it blown up into my nose, and I immediately kind of freaked out about it, because you kind of feel it immediately. And then they were just like, breathe normally, and relax, release, receive into the experience. Don't fight. Don't stress. Don't worry. Don't fight. Don't be scared. And just let go. And so I took a big breath, and I started feeling a little bit of the woozies that you get when you do the rapé. And then we passed around the ayahuasca, and they came and gave you it's a little shot glass, just about that much ayahuasca. It's not a lot. And it tastes, everybody says it tastes bitter, but it tastes very much, I drink mud water coffee. And so I'm used to a little bit of the bitter kind of flavor. That's what I drink every morning for my coffee. And it tastes very much kind of like my mud water coffee that I drink. So I wasn't offended by the bitterness of the flavor. But you just take a little shot glass of the ayahuasca. And the shaman had us all kind of sitting up on our pallets and said it would take about, 15 to 20 minutes to start to kind of let that medicine sink in. Everybody had a little puke bucket next to their palate because that is part of the process as well. It does make you vomit. But we had been on a strict diet prior to the ceremony, and I had been on a fast that day, so I didn't really have any food in my stomach, so it wasn't like a gross, throwing up. I really just threw up the little tiny bit of ayahuasca that I had taken, so it wasn't that bad. So we're all sitting around, and he's playing some music. He provided his own music. He sang. He had instruments. He had a little guitar. He had a harmonica. He sang. He and the medicine woman would sing these beautiful tunes that were in foreign languages. Every tune they sang was in a foreign language so that you wouldn't get distracted by the words or whatever, and it would just be lovely music. So he was playing his little guitars. We were all just kind of sitting there waiting for the ayahuasca to kind of kick in. And it did. I was sitting on my pallet staring out at the stars. It was a beautiful starry night, and the stars just looked so crystal clear. And I was staring out. I guess I must have been facing south because I could see very clearly Orion and the Taurus and Sirius and all of the stars that I know so well. And just, basking in their beauty as we were kind of starting to fade into it. And all of a sudden, you start getting these little snap, crackle, pops, and things start humming in your ears, and you start getting vibrational hallucinogens, and all of a sudden, everything around me kind of had a layer of sacred geometry. The flower of life, sacred geometry, kind of layered in over everything that I was seeing. All of the beautiful trees and the fields that were out there and the stars all kind of had a little layer of this sacred geometry. And it was like a little gray kind of layer that looked gray to me. And it was as if something had placed the sacred geometry over everything that I was seeing. And the snaps and the crackles and the pops and the hums and all of the different kind of sensations that you get as you enter into this very hallucinogenic state. And I suddenly decided, it all came up, and I was regurgitating into my puke bucket. And as I was sitting on my pallet, leaning over, my little puke bucket, all of a sudden my hands were on the porch as I was leaning over. And all of a sudden, as I was leaning on my hands, I felt it was very clear. It felt like a real human hand came up and put their hand under my hand. And I could hear a woman's voice saying, "Gently, gently now. Gently, gently. Don't frighten her. Let's gently, gently raise her up." And another female entity, character, came up and put their hands under my hands on the other side. So I was sitting there on the porch having these beautiful, lovely, warm, gentle hands just gently, gently coming under mine. And they were lifting me up. And I felt like I was levitating there on the porch, for real. I felt like I was really levitating. Later, as I talked to the medicine woman about my journey, she said, "Martha, you were levitating. You were hovering over your pallet." So I felt like I was levitating. They were lifting me up. And as they were lifting me up, they were singing this beautiful, whispering, kind of humming songs, like, it was beautiful, so calming and soothing and loving, just the love that I was just kind of being inundated with love. And I had a spirit guide behind my left side. Couldn't see this voice, but this voice was whispering me to look out. Who is that? And as I saw the sacred geometry all in front of me, the sacred geometry started changing colors, and still the flower of life pattern, but it started being greens and pinks and purples and flashes of lights all through it. Very psychedelic. And as I was looking at the sacred geometry, just marveling in it, realizing, oh, I'm really in this now. And first time I've been in any kind of psychedelic journey, just kind of excited and happy about it. And a spirit guide behind me was like, look, Martha, look. Who is that? Who is that? And there was a figure, an outline figure far out in the distance. Looked like a man and kind of long hair of a just bust of a figure of a looked like a man. I was like, is that Jesus? And he's, look. And as I looked, every time I blinked, the figure would get closer and closer and closer. And as it got right up to where I was looking out, because I was anxiously looking and I couldn't wait to see who it was, I realized, and the guide behind me was whispering in my ear, it's Shiva. And the females holding me up were singing, it's Shiva, it's Shiva. And as Shiva got up to me, it was Shiva, like you see in the pictures of Shiva with the dreadlocks and the serpent, and it was Shiva had come. And as he gets closer and closer to me, he whispers, looking directly at me, and he whispers, I am everything. And as he said everything, ripples of vibrations went out through the cosmos. I am everything. Remember that. I am all. The good, the bad, the ugly, the holy, and the divine. I am everything. I was just amazed and completely exuberant. And I had this look on my face, and I was like, so excited to see Shiva and hear, he's everything. This is just amazing to me. And I just remember feeling the ladies lift me up even further. And Shiva said, are you ready to begin? And I was like, yes. I had this silly, ecstatic look on my face, completely enthralled. And the ladies lifted me up. And as they lifted me up, Shiva kind of poured himself in through my crown chakra as if I was a vessel and he was water, liquid love, pouring through me. And as he was pouring himself through my crown chakra, I could feel Shiva taking on my whole existence, my whole bodily existence. And as Shiva was kind of pouring himself in through my body, I was also at the same time lifting up. The ladies were lifting me up through this like portal. It felt like a little square portal through the sky, all the stars that I was seeing there out there at night. Felt like a little square portal had opened up, and as Shiva was pouring himself in through me and they were lifting me up through this portal, I was looking through into the cosmos. I was in the universe. All of these stars and galaxies and everything was in my sight. And there were star people. Small, tiny star people that were the shape of a person. But instead of looking like a person, they were midnight black with stars and galaxies all in their bodily functions. So they were dancing star people all around me. And as I was lifting up through to the cosmos and Shiva was pouring himself in through me, I was becoming a star person. And my hands and arms were now full of galaxies and stars, and I was now a walking, talking galaxy, a walking, talking universe all to myself. And I was dancing with these tiny star people and just so exuberant, so excited, and couldn't believe that this was happening. And I was in the cosmos, and I was the cosmos. And it was so amazing and so exciting, and it was a celebration we were having. And as we were celebrating, and I was just completely, out of my mind, completely so excited, suddenly, this character out of left field, basically, came up in the big headdress kind of thing that he was holding, and he came up right to my face and went, blah! Just like that. And I was like, what? What is that? And then he ran off. And I was like, what was that? Who was that? What just happened? Like a little, something out of a kabuki theater, this big headdress person came up and went, blah! And then ran off. And as I'm like trying to figure out who was that and where did he go? Where do you run off to when you're in the cosmos? And Shiva, standing in front of me now, he poured himself into me, and then now Shiva was standing in front of me with a star person right next to him. And the star person right next to him, as I started to look at the star person right next to Shiva, started growing horns and a little flippy tail. And I'm just kind of looking, going, what's going on right now? And then these other people that weren't star people, they weren't full of stars, they were actually human figures, but they were all black. When I say all black, they were completely solid human figures that were completely black. And they were wearing fedoras. I don't know what that means, but they were wearing fedoras. But it's like an outline of a person, but they were people. And two of them came running up to me, very fast, and came up into my face. And they would come up to me and yell, hi, like right up into my face, hi. And I was like, oh, hello. And one of them came and sat on my side and grabbed my arm, and I could feel it, like really, it felt like a real person was really sitting here holding my arm. And the other one came up, hi, came up and sat right next to me on the porch. All of this happened like as if I was both in the cosmos and on the porch. Hard to explain. Came up and grabbed my other arm, and I'm sitting there realizing, oh, this feels real. I was not expecting the touching and the, feeling of that. I thought it was going to be like watching a movie or something. So when they came and grabbed my arm, nicely, not hurtful, but just like holding me, and I was shocked and I was so surprised, and I looked at Shiva and this devil kind of character that was turning into a star person but with devil horns, and I looked at them and I was like, this is not what I expected, because I was not expecting the touching, feeling like you could feel people. And I was like, this is not what I expected. And just then, Shiva said, all right, Martha, we're going to start your journey. You're going to go with the devil and go face your fears. Excuse me? Say what? I'm going to do what? I'm going to go with the devil, you say? And face my fears? Hold up. That's not at all what I thought was going to happen at all. And I looked to the little black figure next to me who somehow had eyes, but they were all black, and the fedora people sitting on either side of me. I looked at one and I said, who are you? And he said, I'm you. I was like, well, that's not helpful. So I looked at the other guy, who knows, female, male, who knows, the other human figures holding my other arm. And I said, well, who are you? Well, silly, I'm you. And I was like, okay, this is not helpful. So I looked at Shiva and I'm like, what is this? Being John Malkovich? Is everybody just going to be me here? You know, what is going on? And you want me to go with the devil? This is all bizarre. And I was like, hold on just a minute. This is my first time here. Going with the devil to face my fears sounds a little extreme. That's like advanced level stuff. That's my first time here. Ain't you got anything else to do? Like infinite possibilities of, journeys that we can go on? We ain't doing that. Let's find something else to do. Where's my inner child? Aren't we supposed to be doing inner child work? Come on, guys. Let's start, a little bit less intense. And Shiva said, oh, Martha, we're well past that. Come on. Time to go face your fears. Let's go. Go with the devil. And the gentleman, human figures standing next to me kind of grabbed me up and were lifting my bodily soul up and going to cart me off with the devil. And the devil's like, come on, let's go. Held his hand out. I was like, let's go. It'll be fun. And I was like, I don't think that I want to go with the devil to go face my fears. And I was like, Shiva, we don't even need to do this. This is one of my fears. The devil is obviously one of my fears. We don't need to go anywhere. Hello, I'm facing my fear right now. Hi, devil. And I said, thanks for being very polite. You're not, scaring me. So thank you very much. But we don't need to go anywhere to face my fears because we're doing it right here. And Shiva was like, Martha, it's time to go on your journey. And I was like, oh, I just don't think that's a good idea. And he's like, who are you arguing with, Martha? I am you, and you are me. We are all one entity. Who are you arguing with? And I just said, well, look here. If I'm you and you're me, then why don't you go with the devil and let me know how that goes. I'll wait right here. That Shiva just went ugh, and he walked off as if he were walking behind a curtain off stage. And I was like, so how rude. He just walked off. He could leave me here with the devil and these fedora people. What in the world? And the devil was just super nice, and he was like, look, come on, I haven't even done anything scary yet. I don't know what you're afraid of. Let's go. I'll go with you. So I almost went, but I got kind of scared. They kind of picked me up. The humans and, figures next to me, picked me up, and we were going to go, and I was going to go. But then as we were moving forward with the devil, who was being very friendly, all of a sudden, a portal opened up, another square portal opened up in the sky in the heavens, and it was all fire. Looked like a crematorium to me. I didn't want to do it. I got scared, and I'm like, oh, hold on. And I went back to my body, seeing my body laid out on the pallet as I was physically still, on the porch. And I hovered over my body, and I was like, I don't think this is a good idea. And I don't want to leave my body here unawares. I don't know how all this works. I don't know if I go off, through that fire thing with the devil, what happens to my physical body if my soul goes off with the devil? I don't know. I was just nervous. And I was like, can I have my grandmother or somebody come and just hold my body down and make sure, I don't know, is it possible? I don't want some kind of evil entity getting in my body, and, I don't want to go crazy or anything like that, or have weird, possession kind of things. And, again, I don't know how it all works, and I didn't want to have a risk. So I was like, can I just have my grandmother come? Somebody that I totally trust and love, and that I know will just completely take care of my body. And as I'm kind of negotiating with the devil about, hold on, what? Just a minute, hold on, we're not going to do that yet. Let me just make sure my body's okay. Jesus comes up. Jesus comes up from my left side, and Jesus was standing right there in front of me. He's like, come on, Martha, let's go. I'll go with you. Holds out his hand. And I'm like, okay, but can we have somebody take care of my body? Because now I'm scared about leaving my body to go through whatever that portal is with the devil. And will you hold my hand the whole time if I go? Oh, I was just so scared, and I got all scared. And so I didn't want to go. And I was like, do I have to go with the devil? Of all the people and entities of the whole universe, you're going to choose the devil for me to go with? This is insane. This sounds really like a bad idea. I did not want to do it. And so Jesus is like, let's see who else we can find. So I was still lying on the porch. I was huddling around my heart. And I was like, I ain't going. I'm not going. The devils keep standing there going, come on, I'll go with you. I'll hold your hand. The devil wasn't being scary at all. He was being very polite. These two entities were like, I'll go with you. I'll go with you. Everybody was being so nice. And I just was very scared. And I just did not want to do that. So I was huddling around my heart. My soul was huddling around my heart in my body as I was laid out on the porch, like in reality. And I wasn't going to go. I wasn't going to do it. And all of a sudden, on the porch, like all of this happened in what was, really on the porch. I felt like I had left my body and was looking outside, like from the sky onto our porch ceremony that we were having, and watching the shaman come around, watching the medicine woman come around and saging everybody and using the rattle over everybody to hold that space. And I realized how sacred and holy that ceremony was. And again, I had a spirit guide, again, somebody that I couldn't see was behind me. And I was like, this is such a holy, holy space. And they're creating this bubble of beautiful light energy around all of us. And I could see everybody on the porch laid out on their little pallets having their journeys. I was viewing it from like a third person's perspective, like looking down on all of us. And just then I kind of went back into my heart, because again, the devil wanted to, come on, let's go on your journey. Let's go on your journey. And again, I kind of went back into my heart space, and I was like, I can't do that. That's scary. I don't want to do that. So as I was laying there on the porch, and now I'm back in my heart space, not, in the sky looking down, suddenly on the corner of the porch, an alligator man comes and stands right next to my pallet on the corner of the porch. And I'm still sitting up at this time. And I look over at him, this man, alligator man. Egyptian mythology has an alligator man. And I think that's who that was. But I didn't know it at the time. But an alligator man comes with an alligator face, standing up, walking, talking with a tail. And he comes and he's standing on the corner of the porch, and he starts shimmering, shaking like that. And he goes, you left me there. And I'm like, oh, I don't know who that is, but I am not dealing with that one. And he comes up and he starts yelling in my ear, because I won't look at him. He starts yelling in my ear horrible things. He was very angry. And he starts yelling all these horrible things about, you stupid bitch. You don't know what's going on. There's no God here. You're so stupid. And just all this like mean, nasty stuff. And I'm like, I ain't dealing with that one. That one's not happening. And I wasn't going to give him any of my energy. And so I looked away, and I turned away, and I started counting. Because I had already learned in all my studies that you can't hold two diametrically opposed thoughts at the same time. Your mind can't do it. So I started counting. And I'm horrible at math, and so it actually takes me concentrating to do math. So I just started out. 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16, 16 plus 16 is 32. After we get that, I'm like, now I have to think. Okay, 32 plus 32, do the math in my head, because I'm not good at math. And I just start focusing on the math. And he's yelling, yelling, yelling. I'm not even listening at this point. I could just feel him yelling and hear him yelling nasty stuff at me. And I'm not paying any attention to him at all. And all of a sudden, as I'm literally back in my body now, laying on the porch, a spirit guide, a lady, comes up right next to me. And she's there, and she puts her hand on my shoulder, and she's like, eyes on me. look at me. Don't look over there. He's being really scary. Eyes on me. And it was a lady, like, she had like a headset on, and she looked like she was like in a polo shirt and khakis. I mean, just bizarre. She's right here, right next to me. I'm on the porch. I could see everything happening in reality around me. But now there's this lady here, and she's like got my back. She's like holding, me down. And she's like, do you want me to turn his sound off so you don't have to listen to all that nonsense? And I said, yes, please. This is ridiculous. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Somebody coming, trying to possess my brain with nonsense, ugly shit like that. And I didn't want to hear that. And she's like, okay, we'll turn his volume off. And she turned the volume off on the alligator man yelling at me. And now I could just hear, I could just feel his yelling at me, his hot breath yelling at me. And I could see my hair was like, bobbing from him yelling at me as he was yelling. I could see my hair bobbing, and she's like, eyes on me, don't look over there. Don't give him any of your energy. We're here for you. It's okay. And I was just concentrating on this female spirit guide with the headdress on, like a producer. She looked like a producer. And concentrating on her. And she's like, okay, the medicine woman's coming around to sage you. She's gonna, the sage will run him off. She's coming around. She's coming around at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just then the medicine woman came and saged me, and all of it disappeared. And I was like, whoa. I was just like completely tripping. Didn't know what to make of any of that. Just completely tripping. And again, one of my little black fedora men comes up and kind of stumbles next to my bed, the pallet on the porch. All of this happened in reality, kind of as I was laying on the porch. Stumbles, kind of walking like he's walking on a tightrope next to my pallet, kind of falls onto my legs as if, I guess, maybe entities, ghost, whatever that is, can't actually walk in our dimension. I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, kind of stumbled like he's having a hard time walking, and stumbles and falls onto my legs as I'm really laying on the pallet. And he's like, I'll go with you. I promise I'll go with you. I'll hold your hand the whole time. Super, super nice. Super sweet. But again, I don't know what that is. Apparently it's me. I'm you. You're me. And I'm like, I don't know yet, and I ain't going. And so I wouldn't go. And then all of a sudden, out from the stars, I told you Orion and Taurus were in my viewpoint of what was happening. And Taurus comes down out of the sky, the constellation, and this raging bull comes galloping down through the cosmos onto the porch where I'm really lying, having my journey, and stomps his feet on the porch and gets right up to me and starts huffing and puffing at me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a bull. And I just turn away because, again, I'm not giving anything that scares me. I don't want to give it my energy. And so I turn away, and I literally turn my whole body away, and I can just feel this bull pawing at me and huffing and puffing at me. Everybody wants me to go on my journey, and they're trying to get me to go. And I was just like scared because I'm like, what's this raging bull doing? Ah! And just then the medicine woman comes around like every 20, 30 minutes. And so again, the medicine woman came around. She had a fan this time, and bull is breathing down my neck as I'm like huddled over on my little pallet. And the medicine woman comes and uses her fan right on my neck as if she could see, I don't know, there was something breathing down my neck, and she like whisked it away, and the bull went away. And then as I'm lying there going, oh, good Lord, what's next? This is so weird, and it's a little scary. And as I'm lying on the porch, just looking at everybody else having their journey, watching the shaman sing his songs, and the medicine woman comes up right next to me, and she's singing her song, and she looks out in the stars, and she's just singing to the stars. And then all of a sudden, a werewolf comes up, runs up to the medicine woman who's singing right next to my palette, singing out to the stars, and he grabs her by the waist and pulls her back down. And in reality, literally, she sat down right next to me on the porch, and she stopped singing, and she just kind of was having her own journey, because she also had taken the ayahuasca. She was having her own little moment, and I'm like, oh, great. Now you got the medicine woman, she's not going to help me now. Oh, good Lord. Now what am I going to do? And the shaman's still, singing, but he's kind of taking too much ayahuasca. And so he's kind of going nuts on the harmonica. Just, he's too noisy. He's gone, too haywire. And I'm like, great. The shaman's out of his mind. The medicine woman, got sat down by the werewolf. Great, I'm on my own with the devil who keeps wanting me to go on this journey to go face my fears. Fuck me. That's basically what I was thinking at that moment. And just then, the medicine woman kind of came to her senses and started singing again with the shaman, and started, going around again and doing her blessings, holding the space again. And so I'm like, okay, well, just then, an older lady sitting at a pedestal desk with a big giant book, comes out onto the corner of the porch, and she's there. She's wadding up paper. She's ripping paper out of this book and wadding it up and throwing it at me in front of my palette, trying to get my attention. But she's throwing paper wads at me. And I thought that wasn't very nice. And I didn't want to look at that lady, because I didn't want to give her any of my attention and my energy. Because if you're throwing spitballs at me, throwing wads of paper at me, it didn't seem very nice to me. I could see her out of the corner of my eye, but I was kind of like glancing. I wasn't paying any attention. I didn't want to engage her, because I didn't want her throwing paper at me. I'm like, why are you throwing paper at me? Not nice. So I didn't look at her. I was being very belligerent, by the way. The whole journey is me being belligerent. And she went away. Again, the medicine woman came back around and shooed her away. And as I'm sitting there holding my heart space, just going, what's next? What else is going to come at me? Suddenly, as I'm sitting there on the porch, I see this black figure, kind of like the black humans with the fedoras were sitting, next to me. Kind of this black figure starts. It's leaning over, and it kind of sits up and starts building something with hammer and nails and wood, and boom, 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 boom. You can hear it hammering. It was an alien. I know. It's so crazy. It was an alien, and it was building hammers and nails and wood. It was building me a coffin. And I could see it building the old-timey coffin. And it was standing up. And the alien was trying to get me to go with him. He was like, oh, come with me. It was speaking a language that I later learned is a light language, and it was giving me like a clicky-clack kind of language. And it sounded something like this, like... And it was telling me, I could tell by its body language, it was telling me, come on. And it was telling me, I'll go with you. A hand held out. Let's go. Let's go get you in this coffin and go on your journey to learn about death. And I was like, I am not getting in a coffin of all things. Heavens, no, I'm not doing that. No. And so I wouldn't look at the alien either. I ignored the alien. And again, the medicine woman came around and did her thing with the rattle, and the alien went away. Well, this was getting very far into the journey, and a journey usually lasts about 3 or 4 hours, and we were getting, into it. This had all taken hours of time. And as I'm laying there just going, I ain't going nowhere. Y'all are crazy. This is awful. I'm not doing any of that shit that they're trying to get me to do. And suddenly, behind me, as I'm laying down on the porch, behind me on the porch, a bunch of blue monkeys, it was monkeys, start pounding on the porch behind me, saying, let go, let go, let go, let go. And they're causing such a vibration that my soul starts lifting out of my body with the vibration. And I look and I see it's a bunch of blue monkeys. There's a king with a crown, and he had like a staff, and then what looked like a queen. These look like not monkeys. They were like, the Wizard of Oz, and the witch has the monkeys that go flying out. Kind of look like that kind of monkeys, like not friendly monkeys. And I didn't know what was up with the king monkey who was right here, and he kept pinching at my shoulder. I could feel him. It felt like a monkey finger. You know how monkeys have. It felt like a monkey finger was pinching me, like in real life. He kept pinching, not bad, just like go, and he kept saying, go on your journey, go. And I was like freaked out. What in the world is a monkey doing, pinching my shoulder, telling me to go on my journey? Weird stuff, right? So weird. So I was like, eh. And just then Jesus comes out of what looked like a laboratory off to my left. I could see, looked like a scientific laboratory. Again, I have no idea. But Jesus comes out of the laboratory and sits right in front of me on the pallet, literally squats down right in front of me on the pallet. And he asks somebody who's right at my head, do we have time? How much time do we have? Do we have time to do this? And a lady who's sitting there holding my head, a grandmother figure, not my grandmother, but like the grandmother of the universe, is sitting there, and she's holding my head, and she says, we're almost out of time. It's well past time. We gotta hurry if we're gonna do it. So Jesus squats down next to me, and he looks me in the eye, and he says, come on, Martha, let's go. It's time to go on your journey. Let's go face your fears. I'll go with you. And I was like, Jesus, I don't think I can do it now. I'm so scared. I don't want to do it in a fear-based, I don't want to be fear-based. If I go do something like that, I don't need to be scared. I'm scared now. I don't think I can do it. And he's like, Martha, you bought the ticket. You may as well go on the ride. Come on, I'll go with you. I was like, I don't think I can go. Jeez, I really am so sorry. I don't think I can go. And the monkeys are pinching me. Let's go with Jesus. Go with Jesus. And I was just, and then the monkeys started like talking amongst themselves, and I could hear them, and they were like, she can't do it. I don't think she's too scared. She can't do it. She's not gonna go. She's not gonna go. She can't do it. She's not gonna go. And I'm like, can we just settle down, simmer down back there, little monkey chatter you got going on there. If I didn't go with freaking Jesus, then I'm not going with a bunch of fucking monkeys. I'm sorry. Y'all need to just shut up and leave me alone. The monkeys were like, well, pack it up. Show's over. She's not going to do it. She can't do it. And they all like leave. Like if they were on stage, they go behind a curtain. They like left me there. Jesus is gone. My Native American, I have a Native American, indigenous, tribal spirit guide. I've always had throughout my life. And my Native American indigenous spirit guide shows up. And he stands right over me, just like Jesus had. Stands right over me. He's got his arms crossed. And he goes, come. He's got a very stern look on his face. Like, come. Like, it's now or never. Come. But I almost went because, like, he's a spirit guide that I know. And I was like, oh, I should go with him. I know he'll keep me safe. But I didn't. Because he was looking all stern and mad at me or something that I wasn't doing what I was there to do. And it frightened me. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I can go. And so when he left, the grandmother patted my head and she said, learn the lessons. And then all of the entities and beings and encounters left. And they left me there, but Shiva was still out in the stars that I was looking at. And he said, you don't trust me, just trust me. Just very lightly and gently like that. You need to trust me. And so as these things were kind of dissipating and I was kind of starting to come out of it, and you could hear the snappy, crackly pops, I was thinking to myself, okay, my mother always taught me that when something bad happens, to learn the lesson. And I was thinking, what lessons did I learn here? What lessons can I take from this? Because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't go on the journey. I didn't face my fears, although I faced a lot of fears. What did I learn? And I learned that I don't trust God. Apparently I'm afraid of the devil. And I'm afraid to go to hell or the underworld or whatever that fiery portal was. That scared me. I have all these fears about aliens and monkeys. And, I have all these fears that they were trying to get me to deal with and overcome. And I wasn't trusting God. And I just prayed out to the heavens and saw Shiva's bust of Shiva just kind of receding into the sacred geometry and the stars. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I didn't know. I didn't trust you. And that was the first night of the journey. And then the shaman called for us all to wake and all to hold hands and kind of sing songs together to close the ceremony. And I was just baffled that I didn't trust God enough to go on my journey that first night. Thankfully, we had a second night of the ceremony, and I will tell you about that second night that turned out to be very scary and very holy when I did finally let go and go on the journey that God was intending for me to go on. I'll tell you about that journey on our next podcast. If you have enjoyed my storytelling style, this is Tales of a Death Doula. My name is Martha, and I am a certified death doula, and I am telling about my ayahuasca journey. And join me next time for the second night of the Aya journey. It gets better.